What's up, guys? Welcome to lesson 4-5, solving two-step equations. Let's do it. So here we got n over 4 minus 20 equals -1. Rule of thumb is we start with the numbers, removing numbers that are farthest away from the variable first. So that 20 is the one we want to get rid of. So it's being subtracted from n. So we're going to go ahead and add 20 to both sides. That immediately nullifies that guy. What's 20 plus -1? That is 19. So now we got n over 4 equals 19. We're dividing by 4. So what do we got to do? We got to multiply both sides by 4. Inverse operation always to isolate. This goes away. What's 4 times 19? N equals 76. That's the mental math again, right? 4 times 10 is 40. 4 times 9 is 36. We add them together and we get 76. Now let's look at this guy. So again, we want to start by getting rid of the 46 first. It's farthest away from the n in terms of order of operations. That 3 is multiplying it first. So how do we get rid of a positive 46? Some of you guys might think, well, we should add 46 because it's subtracting n. But no, that's not really what's happening. What's happening is the 46 is being added to a -3n, believe it or not. So we want to think, and also think, like, how do we get rid of this? How do we turn this into a 0? It's a positive 46. We got to subtract 46 from both sides. That cancels this out. We're left with the -3n equals 46 plus 23, -69. Now the last step, we get rid of that -3. Since it's multiplying here, we're going to divide by -3, divide by -3. That goes away. N equals, double negatives cancel out to a positive. What's 69 divided by 3? Mental math. That gives us a nice 23. And that one is done. Let's move on to number 30, a word problem. The second book in a fantasy series is 112 pages longer than the first book. The total number of pages in both books is 524. Now they give you all this info, but they actually give you the equation. Solve this equation right here to find the number of pages in the first book, which is represented by B. Okay, let's do that. So first, let's combine our like terms B and B. That gives us 2B plus 112 equals 524. Now let's go ahead and subtract 112, right? 112 is farther away from B than 2. So we get rid of that first, we subtract it. These guys cancel out. What's 524 minus 112? That is just 412. Again, you can do this on paper if you don't want or don't feel confident doing it in your head. So 412, now last step, we divide both sides by 2. And B will end up giving us 206. So that is the length of that first book, 206 pages. Let's go to the last question, last two questions. Now we got 54.8, we got some decimals, minus D divided by 5 equals 60.1. We're gonna start again, not by adding, but by subtracting 54.08. Again, we've got a positive 54.8, so we need a -1 to nullify it. What's 60.1 minus 54.8? And remember, this negative stays with the D. So we got -D fifths equals, now I'm going to try and do this in my head, it is 5.3, right? 5.59, and it's a positive because that gives us 59, and then we need the 0.3 to get us up there. So yeah, 5.3. Now what's our last step? We got to multiply, because since we're dividing by 5, inverse operation, multiply both sides by -5. That gets rid of these negatives to give us a positive D over here. What's -5 times positive 5.3? We know it's negative. That's a 25 plus 1.5, although you're welcome to do it by hand. So that gives us -26.5. Again, I'm using distributive to calculate that mentally. Finally, we got this crazy problem. a lot of stuff happening here. So first of all, let's combine our like terms, because we got x here, no common denominator, that's no good. So guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna multiply the top and the bottom by 3. So that gives us 3x over 6 plus 5x over 6 plus 5/4 equals 380. Let's combine 3x and 5x. So now let's use some of this nice room up here. Now we've got 8x over 6 plus 5/4 equals 380. Now let's get rid of this guy, because this is kind of just sitting here. We don't need him. He's farther away from x. Like, subtract 5/4 from both sides. Subtract 5/4 from both sides. This is gone. 380 minus 5/4, that is 300. Just take my word for it at this point, because you're basically subtracting 1 1/4. So that takes you down 379, and then that takes you down to 378 and 3/4, right? Because if we add 1 1/4, if we add 1 to this, we get 379, add another 4th, and we get back up to 380. So 378 and 3/4 equals, what is it? 8 over 6. Let's reduce that 8 over 6 to 4 over 3, right? We're going to divide both of those by 2. We got 4 over 3, and now we're looking pretty good. Now, last step, we want to get rid of this 4/3, so we're going to multiply both sides by 3/4. Multiply both sides by 3/4. This is a pretty intense problem. Now we have x equals. So we could do one of two things. We could take 3/4 of this guy and then 3/4 of this guy, and that will be our final answer. I'm fine with that if you are. So what is 3/4 of 378? I'll just go ahead and do it down here. We're going to use some decimals. I think that'll be easier. We use 0.75. Again, I don't use a calculator. I think it's better mental exercise. Actually, no. That's a better way. Let's do it just the old-fashioned way. 3/4 times 378 over 1. We divide both by 2. Divide both by 2. That is 189. All right, so now we go ahead and we multiply across. We get 540 plus 27.5. This is a terrible problem. 567 over 2. And then we also have that 3/4, which is times 3/4, which gives us 9/16. Okay, so that's still part of it. Let's go ahead and reduce this guy. So let's see, 567. So 566, I'm doing a lot of mental math. 566, that's 283. 283, let's make sure I'm doing this right. 283 and 1/2. And then we also got our 9/16. We got to add on there, plus 9/16. So this becomes 8/16 plus 9/16. Okay, so that becomes 17/16. I'm not really concerned about showing you this stuff. I know you can figure this out if you actually do the multiplication, or if you had turned this into an improper fraction and then multiplied across, it'd be the same thing. But we got 283 and 17/16, which our final answer, let me draw a little line here, is 284 and 1/16. Oh my gosh. Okay, that is a hard problem. Not totally even sure that was so complex that I did all the math right. Let's hope I did. But I think that roughly makes sense. It's about 300. And so it's like we're taking half of 300, which is 150. And we're taking 5/6 of 300, which is 1500, 1500, and that is, let's say, around let's say 260. So 260, that's 410. Yeah, I mean, it's somewhere in the ballpark of 380. So I think that's right. I think this is our final answer. So there you go, lesson 4, 5, and done.